made separately in some occasions. For working around the house, for the most part, it was a dress. The skirt and the bodice were connected together. However, we found, since we're good Yankee frugal folks up here, that frequently with the dressier fabrics, there might be a skirt and more than one top. Depending on the occasion, they could get multiple uses out of it. Let's see if I can get this pinned over here. And if you think about how this hoop isn't sized very large, but in the ball gown situation, it would be quite large. And you think about the volume of fabric that it takes to go around the bottom of a hoop. They then have to make that fabric fit around a little tiny waist. So there would be lots of pleating, and in this case, there are actually stacks of pleats in order to get it small enough. You don't want it to look bulky around the waist, so there would be literally layers of pleats going around to get that all the fabric that's required for the circumference of a hoop to fit around a narrow waist. And this would be a day bodice, elegant fabric. And if you look at this outfit and you look at Hannah's outfit, you see a contradiction in stripes. Hannah's stripes are vertical, which wasn't always as typical. The horizontal stripes were actually much more common because of the way the fabric was woven. They would put something on the width of the fabric and the stripes would end up being horizontal. The front opening on the dress is actually hooks. There's no zippers yet. And for anyone that's done any sewing, how many of you have made handmade buttonholes before? So we've got a tight bodice over a corset that probably needs 15 or 20 buttons or hooks. Which would you rather do? Make 20 perfectly aligned, perfectly sized, hand-stitched buttonholes, or sew on some hooks and eyes? Hooks and eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Hooks and eyes were an easy, convenient, more convenient closing, less labor-intensive closing. And frequently what you will see is you will see gowns with the hook and eye closure, but there'll still be buttons on the front. The buttons are merely decorative. It would also allow them to change the buttons and dress up the dress as they needed to. In this particular dress, you'll notice the line of the sleeve. See how it's off the shoulder? Your shoulder was way up here, but look at, some of you up close can see perhaps better, that the sleeve actually goes off the shoulder, as does mine, as does Hannah, and that gets back to that optical illusion that we're trying to use to create a narrow waist. We make the shoulders look wider, and we make the bottom of the skirt look wider. What happens to your waist? It looks smaller. Yeah. So that was part of the design of the outfits of the day, was drop shoulders. They would also set the seams to the back of the garment, again, to not interrupt that smooth look in the front. In this particular case, she has a pagoda sleeve, and let me see if her undersleeves are attached. So if you'll forgive me, gentlemen, undersleeves were very commonly used, especially in a bell-shaped sleeve like this. Made it very easy to launder. You just laundered this piece because certainly you didn't throw your satin or your silk gown into the washing machine or take it down to the dry cleaners. So when you had the expensive fabrics that were harder to care for, you wore things to protect them so that you didn't have to worry about laundering them. Undersleeves were a part of that. They could be very easily laundered. The other thing that you will see quite frequently on most outfits are collars. And the collars are hand-stitched on. They're just basted on, and they were removed just like you would take a belt out of a pair of pants when you took them off today. The collar would be there to dress up the dress, but more importantly, protect the dress from any oils or dirt that might come around the neckline, because this was an expensive piece of fabric and you needed to take care of it. Another thing that they did to help protect the dress was they would line the bottom hem. Served a couple purposes. You're walking along, you don't want to kick the inside of your skirt walking around most of the streets in Maine, especially in the springtime with what got left behind from the winter. So there would be this protective layer here. And then even on the very edge, many of the dresses would have, do I have it on mine? I have not. You have it on yours. They would actually use horsehair braid and cover the very bottom hem so it wouldn't fray and wear out, protecting that fabric. It was an investment. If by some chance you did get somewhere at the bottom, again being frugal folks from Maine, you take your skirt apart and you flip it end for end. Bottom hem then becomes the waistband, and you've extended the life of your dress. Some of you may have read books. I'm trying to think. I think Louisa May Alcott may have referenced a few times turning your skirt or turning your suit. That's what it's referring to. Literally turning skirt top to bottom, or in the case of a wool suit, literally turning it inside out, because the wool would tend to pill, looks worn out, but the inside of the fabric's perfectly fine. So let's extend the life of it and literally unsew the entire suit, turn all the pieces of fabric around and stitch them back together and extend the life of that fabric in the apparel. She needs a bonnet. She needs a bonnet. So let's look in our hat box. For the most part, ladies would not go out of the house without their hair dressed. And hair could be dressed in any manner of ways. Most often it was put up. But even just putting it up wasn't always enough. You generally went out with a bonnet on. In this case, I have a linen bonnet with stiffening inside, and then the ladies could decorate them as they wanted to, remove the flowers and decorate as needed for the season. Hat pin to hold it through your hair, as opposed to the thumbtack approach that some people would like to use. It just will confuse the anthropologist someday. But the hair was dressed. My hair is pinned up. Generally the hair was parted in the center front, usually not cut, there were no bangs. Towards the end of the century, at the end of the Civil War, moving into a later Victorian era, there was talk of fringe, which would be very, very short bangs. A young lady might try that, but for the most part, ladies kept their hair long, parted in the center, pulled back, swept back, and pulled up in some manner or form. And dressed somehow. In this case, I've got a hairnet on. Hannah's got hers pulled back in what might have been referred to as a snood. Probably a little heavier net design than would have typically been seen for a hairnet at that time, but it was a fairly common way to contain the hair, keep it looking dressed, and you think about the hygiene of the era. It wasn't nice, smooth, clean hair every day. You know, the Saturday night special, the end of a long, busy week working around a kitchen, the hair tended to be a little bit less manageable, perhaps is a good word. So by using the hairnet, it kept smoke and soot and things out of the hair, made it a little easier to deal with, because it certainly wasn't clean, because it wasn't shampooed on a daily basis or even sometimes on a weekly basis. Okay. I was in here getting the hat, and I went off on a tangent. Hats or bonnets were worn whenever you left the house. Here's a beautiful bonnet. You notice the inside is as decorated as the outside. The purpose of the bonnet was to protect your face from the weather. You didn't want a tan. You wore gloves. You didn't want a tan. tail was in, and so you do it whatever you needed to keep that pale look. The pale look was a sign of affluence. If you had pale skin, you weren't out working in your garden. So the pale look was desirable, and the bonnets and the hats achieved that. But they would frame the interior of the bonnets to frame the face. It was basically extended decoration of the face by having all the interior of the bonnet decorated. Let me see if it'll sit on here. Usually there's a little ruffle in the back to cover your neck because your hair was up.